Yep.
Well, we are pleased to be joined now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, actually our Allo VIP hotline, by Lance Leipold, the head coach of the 2-0 Kansas football team.
2-0.
Lance, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Could you have asked, Lance, for a better start to the season than what you are right now?
Almost as good as the bumper music being Little Willy.
Yeah. Sweet. Let's go.
You just don't hear Little Willy as much as you'd like to, but it was a classic. I know in Wisconsin growing up, that had to be big for you, Lance.
Yes. Yeah, I had the little single, to be quite honest.
Did you have the single like that? Yes.
Yeah.
The 45 was a classic.
Good to be with you guys. I've got off to a good start. Real pleased with the first two home games played. I thought we played some of our best football last Friday night, especially in the first half, maybe since we've been here. And now it's turned the page, and we head to Reno, Nevada on Friday for a Saturday night game.
Joined by Lance Leipold, friend of the show. You alluded to your big win on Friday night. I'm wondering, Lance, I always wondered a little bit about your team's physicality. But coming out of that game, you had two guys. Well, you had one rush for 98 and one rush for 120. You had 6 sacks against a Big Ten team. Does that, I don't know, validate in your mind your team's physicality?
Well, I don't know. We've got a long way to play, so it's to me, validation's every Saturday from here on out. But good question. I think when you watch in a little over 2 years of being here now and how we've tried to do some things, and I think we emphasized a more physical spring. I think we had a more physical fall camp, and a lot of it was looking at that last week's game. When you watched an Illinois team, I believe you guys would know better than I, were one of the top in the nation in scoring defense, but at the top of the Big Ten and a lot of things. And that was a very good defense holistically last year, and still returns. I think as many, at least in the Big Ten West, as many preseason all Big 12 defensive or Big 10 defensive players as anybody. And it was a challenge, and we challenged our guys, and I was really proud of the way they rose to the occasion.
Lance, Bill Bush here, former graduate assistant with Lance Leipold at the University of Wisconsin. And so that was incredible watching your career. I watched the entire game Friday. Had to go back and watch it, and so hit it on replay, but watched every single snap. And I know the quarterback play stood out to me, just unbelievable. But that wasn't anything that I talked about here with this great crew of people. All I talked about was the defense. It was just watching your defense compared to last year. It just appears to be light years ahead of where it was. And I'm sure there's different players and things that are going on. But can you please expand on just how well? And it appeared to me that I made this comment, Lance, that one thing that the head coach did, Leipold did, was decided to make his defense better. So obviously from head coach down, you guys had a plan, and right now it's working out.
Yeah, there hasn't been like major change. Yes, we got some new guys, okay, and I think of course we talk a lot about the portal and things like that. We've had some additions. We had quite a few seniors in the front last year, but we did bring in a couple new guys. Austin Booker's one from Minnesota, as well as Gage Keys played their younger players in the Minnesota program, looked for new opportunities. Devin Phillips has been a really nice addition. He's a senior, was a Colorado State, gives us a real thick body inside, and we just felt we were getting moved around a little bit too much. We had 2 redshirt freshmen play a lot last year. They're growing and maturing, so some of it's a little bit of some new personnel, Bill, but as you know, many times you got puppies in there, and you got to wait for them to grow up a little bit. And,
absolutely.
But I do think one of the other additions that showed up, we were down one of our starting linebackers, Taiwan Berryhill, and J.B. Brown, a transfer from Bowling Green, who from the outset we could tell was going to give us some speed and some physicality from the linebacker position, and he showed up, especially in the second half on Friday night. The other thing is, the back seven was all returning, and now there's a lot more confidence and understanding, And you know from your time in this and making moves is we're transitioning from a 3-man front to a 4-man front of what we inherited. And our offense, which is a little bit out of the ordinary, I think our offense started clicking sooner here than what our defense. And I think the gap even started to kind of show itself more and made people question where we are at defensively. I think we've shown these first couple games that we've made some improvements, but we know it's a long season to go.
Absolutely.
Joined by 59-year-old Lance Leipold.
Steve.
Yes.
Steve, why do you do that every time I'm on?
That's his thing.
Always
And he always does it usually a year or two off. His idea is to make himself look better. That's what Sipple's trying to get done here.
59.
First of all, just look at Lance right now, like that. Right? If you have, you just look at him on the game on Saturday night, you'd be like, he's easily mid-40s. That's what he looks like on TV. He looks spry. He was tan. He looked incredible.
He was spry in 1989 when he coached at Doane.
Yeah.
Now here's the deal, Lance. How does it feel every night to go to bed knowing you have Jalon Daniels at quarterback and a great backup in Jason? Is it Jason Bean?
Yes.
Jason Bean.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more comforting. But Jalen missed a lot of fall camp, missed the opener with some back issues. Having him back and having some depth because, again, not knowing exactly what in their, whether it be in Lincoln or Big Ten all the way across the board. But in the Big 12 last year, over half the teams ended up starting what was their backup quarterback from the two teams that played for the conference championship. One of those played for the national championship. So it went through depth at quarterback, and it's hard as we know with the portal, and that's one of the positions where only one's going to play and guys move on. To have depth at quarterback is darn near a luxury these days. And right now we're in a good spot. And to have two guys that have been productive and started a lot of games for us here at Kansas is something that we're going to have to rely on throughout this year.
Joined by Lance Leipold, Kansas head football coach. Daniel gets a lot of the conversation, but at running back, you guys have a stud in Devin Neal. Devin Neal over 100 yards last week in the win against Illinois, 94 yards the first week. I mean, I don't think people talk about how good he is. How good of a player, Lance, is Devin Neal for your squad?
Yeah, he's right here from Lawrence. He was a national recruit, but stayed here to help build this program. Signed before we arrived, but on and off the field, this guy is awesome, and he's done so much in early. And he's been very durable for a young back, and now we've got a healthy Daniel Highshaw again. Daniel dislocated his hip against Iowa State last year in the 5th game of the year, and pretty severe injury, and he's been able to bounce back, and that's again, we just like at the quarterback position, we're very fortunate to have a nice 1-2 punch when they're healthy. Again, you get to spread out the carries, you get to do some things. But Devin, the nice thing about him, Bill, is he can do it all. As far as he's got good hands, he understands the offense, he's good in pass protection, he's got the speed to outrun some people, excellent vision, and for a third-year back, again, that this is kind of we suffered through those growing pains 2 years ago, and now hopefully we're in a spot, especially for this offense, to kind of take another step for us.
Incredible. Lance, how did you keep Bean on your team? We think
he's Jason.
He's one of the most. He's an incredible quarterback, and he would be starting all over the place. How did you? And you knew you had the Big 12 preseason potential player of the year coming back, so we knew that. How did you keep him on the team?
Well, the interesting thing was, first of all, Jason was a transfer from North Texas, and he was transferring here before we even were involved in the job here, and then he showed up in the summer. But actually, late last year, Jason went through senior day, and he was going to move on. And we had some conversations, and Jason Bean's the fastest player on our team, and he can run. And I said, Jason, what are you going to do? Well, I want to look at trying to see what I can do at the next level. Okay, I said, what's going to happen when you run your 40? Well, they're going to ask me to work out at another position. I said, well, why don't you take some time and really work on all positions then? Well, it hasn't completely turned out the way we thought, because we have worked them a little bit at receiver, but some of Jalen's health has kind of gone the other direction. Well, Jason gave it some thought, and then after our bowl game against Arkansas, then as the weeks in between coming back for semester, he started to have second thoughts, and he's had a good experience here. He loves his teammates. He decided to stick around. And I'll say this, from the 21 season to now, Jason Bean is maybe the most improved football player on this team. And then watching him mature and handle the situation like he has, I'll always be indebted and appreciate him.
Joined by Kansas football coach Lance Leipold. Lance, targeting was an issue in that game against Illinois, and it was a little dicey for your team. And I think you have two guys that will be sitting out the first half at Nevada Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel? How do you feel about the targeting rule? I mean, does it need?
I thought, up until Friday, I felt like we were in a really good spot with the targeting rule. I can count on one hand, and in my 17th year now as a head coach, I can count on one hand how many targeting calls the teams I've been in charge of have had.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get 2 in one game. And Austin Booker, the one that hit the quarterback right in the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
he said he was leading with the crown of his helmet. And boy, we sent it in, we appealed it. It was denied. He had gotten a personal foul the week before for hitting the quarterback low. If you remember, like the Tom Brady rule, hit the quarterback, so he got one of those. And so now you tell a young man, hey, you got to have a target zone, hit him in the midsection. And he does exactly what you want. Now his helmet's not exactly what it's supposed to be.
Man.
We thought his helmet moved to the side. It's good for safety. Anything I make a comment on that's not about keeping players safe would not be very intelligent. But at the same time, I thought both those calls were really close. To be down 2 defensive starters, and when you're still not completely healthy is not very fortunate. But at the same time, we're going to have someone step up. And like you said, the flow of that game in the second half, because of those calls, really kind of kept Illinois in the game. Never let us kind of get back in the groove that we had that first half.
Lance, Bill Bush again. You're the master of how to have. I've always felt people have asked, and I'm sure you learn from the same person of how to have a feel for your team. And we'd probably both say that Barry Alvarez was the best at that, of having a vibe for his team. What will you do different? Because you're playing at like the last game played in Nevada. You guys probably aren't getting home until the sun's up. How does that change your routine, and what do you do different? And how do you get your team on track for the next game after that?
Well, okay, I'll give you 2 here. Hopefully, we'll have enough time.
We got time. We got all night.
We're gonna stay. We're gonna stay in Reno after the game and fly back on Sunday morning.
Oh, nice.
Looking at it, it's a 9:30 local kickoff. By the time we would get back here, it would be early. It'd be 8, 9 in the morning, and then the kids have never really slept anywhere, and we start conference next week. So we're going to stay in the hotel, get them a night's sleep in a bed, get up, eat breakfast, and then come back. Unfortunately, we've made an appeal that this wouldn't count as our day of with the players, because Sunday is our day off. All we wanted to do was have them sleep, get up, and fly back. The NCAA has not approved that at this time. I think you're going to see this rule change with all the cross-country travel that's going to happen with realignment. So we'll come back, and we won't get back till mid to later afternoon now, and then we're going to meet with our guys and do a short practice Sunday evening, and then give them Monday off, and then hopefully they'll have two solid nights sleep that can help them prepare for our conference opener the next week against BYU.
If you could text me one thing, Lance, when I was coaching at New Mexico State, we played at Nevada, and we had to walk the entire team through the casino. We had to walk through a casino with people playing slots and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, Bill had a heater.
Yeah, on the heater like that. So just try to, if that happens, would you shoot me a text? Because it was hilarious. People are high fiving us.
We
They were
did that in the
drinking.
Bahamas. That reminds Sip of his mid-20s.
Yes. That'd be his everyday simple. That was everyday simple.
All
right, easy.
Ah,
To the
right.
casino.
Lance, you're 59 now. You're going to be 65 by the time you get back from Reno.
Or this phone call.
He is Coach Lance Leipold, 2-0. Kansas Jayhawks head on the road to Nevada this Saturday. Lance, thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the
Incredible.
season, and we will chat with